It's easy to get lost in all the ranting and raving about graphic fidelity, direction, logical consistency, and even worse, themes. And forget the most important, simple elements that make up our favorite shows. Shows we look back on fondly even years later, whose ideas we can't seem to escape. And that's how they made us feel. Those solitary, unforgettable moments where shows resonated with us on inescapably personal levels. The scenes that made us feel particular sets of base emotions so deeply in such satisfying manners that we couldn't help but rewind and rewatch them. And occasionally even scenes that were so strange that we're not sure exactly why we were so captivated by them. In my opinion, you know this is true because the absolute worst thing a show can do is not leave an impression on you and be a completely forgettable waste of your time. And with all that said, do I evermore want to rant and rave about a criminally underrated little show about the love of music called Ya Boy Kongming. I mean, holy crap, it's good. Alright, so technically I guess it's an isekai, but it literally doesn't matter. Kongming is a Chinese military strategist from the Three Kingdoms period, often compared to the Art of War's author himself, Sun Tzu. And he's about to bite the dust. But just before passing, he wishes that if he were given another chance, he would be reborn in an era of peace and tranquility, devoid of the bloodshed and warfare he had grown so accustomed to. And voila, he wakes up in modern-day Japan, the Shibuya streets awash with Halloween, booze, and electronic dance music, which of course he naturally assumes is hell. He resolves to face his well-earned punishment, and a couple of party people lead him into a nightclub where his ears are first graced by the one and only true waifu of this anime season. Alleged siren of hellfire, but in reality, angel sent from on high to grace our ears and eyes alike. Eiko Tsukimi.
Nigga, when my name come up, respect it. Stop playing with my fucking name. I'll drill y'all.
You want me to kiss you? That's right, apologize. Okay, I'll see her. Apologize.
Anyway, as I like to say, plot, yada yada, emotional backstory. I ain't trying to spoil everything in the first 2 episodes that are out as I write this, but it becomes apparent pretty quickly if your brain isn't still in low power mode from whatever trash you were watching before this, that he's gonna become the equivalent of her one-man agency, producer, marketing, consultant, and whatever else it takes to help make sure that her dreams come true. But of course, he doesn't have a house, a car, a phone, money, or a job, so he also takes up a job in her workplace. You know, the nightclub. Anime characters who work at bars are inherently cool. I think like many of my favorite shows, Ya Boy Kongming rides the line between goofy, smart, emotionally compelling, and downright sexy when it wants to be, without anything ever seeming out of place. And I'll be damned if it doesn't do it in style. Although it might not be the highest fidelity or whatever, literally moment to moment, when it does turn on the Sakuga and the neon lights, holy mackerel is it gorgeous. Unlike many shows, it also has some interesting direction. I always love getting to see emotion expressed through things like animated legs, since it seems we almost always focus on the hands and faces. Since apparently this can somehow be considered problematic, no, having interesting direction and quote-unquote camera work like this isn't instantly fetishistic or voyeuristic. It's just actual competent direction compared to your average show, better than plain face and hand shots all episode long. Sometimes, queasy, squirmish legs are the best way to subtly portray a bit of anxiety, such as in her acoustic guitar performance. In other cases, sometimes showing a character's dirty running feet is the perfect way to further support the fact that a character grew up in the boonies, without resorting to even more boring exposition to remind you. Anyways, if you think that's voyeuristic, no, this is voyeuristic. And that's a good thing in this case, because my god, it actually feels like the excitement of watching an energetic and beautiful singer sing and dance gracefully, as it should. Camera work like this seems so rare in anime these days, when we typically just get what essentially amounts to panning and zooming still images with 3-frame moving mouths. Ya Boy Kongming, on the other hand, portrays the energy of live music performance like few anime I've ever seen. Between the well-directed camera work, syncing the animated motion to beats, the neon, the smoke, and the light shows, dancing in time with the music, when an important musical performance is in focus, almost no stone is left unturned in obsessive attention to these details. The framing of different perspective scenes, the fact that dancing to this sort of pumped up EDM is always just as freaking sweaty and sexy as it should be, it's chef's kiss moi, and I assure you, most shows of this type, at least the ones I've seen, are not on this level. If you're a fan of anime and a fan of music as well, you owe it to yourself to check this one out. TLDR, this show makes me want to dance. As for things that people might take issue with at first, the show definitely has that man lost in a different time vibe, brother to the god who doesn't understand the mortal world trope. But it's executed well. It never wears out its welcome, and when it does rear its sometimes ugly head, it usually caps off with a wonderful, subversive punchline, reminding you that the dude was in fact a genius and a curious and inquisitive scholar. Such as when we jump straight from him trying to understand a cell phone to him asking Eiko about the blockchain of all things, 4 hours later. Another thing I love about this show, like many of my favorites, is characters in this show are actually passionate about things that are interesting and have real depth. Music and, well, the art of war. Watching Kongming's strategies work out is satisfying and simultaneously freaking hilarious. For example, and skip to the time on screen to avoid very minor spoilers for episode 2, he gets the attendees at a competitive concert to come to Eiko's floor with free drinks, but also makes the floor plan intentionally confusing, laying some static and some moving guides out in such a way as to make it easy to get lost wandering back and forth from Eiko's stage and the restroom, while boozed up and lost in the middle of smoke machines and neon lights, of course. Honestly, it's definitely smart writing, in which they find a way to relate his plot to blow up Eiko's debut performance outside of the nightclub back to actual war strategy. But it's also, all at once, ludicrously over the top and freaking hilarious. Also, in case you've been living under a rock, this show has easily the best OP of the season, and I mean it's not even close. Fun fact that everyone seems to keep talking about, this song was actually adapted from a Hungarian song called Balakarai, or Party King, by the artist Jolly. But we all know Eiko sings better. As for any comparisons between the anime and the manga, it's safe to say as a show with its primary focus on music, the anime has distinct advantages in that it has the extended musical segments as opposed to a couple of great panels for each musical segment in the manga. These musical scenes are going to vary from genre to genre as the show goes. Check out the preview trailer I linked below if you want, well, a preview of those genres. With that said, the manga has some distinct advantages of its own, with a couple of panels that were perhaps a little bit too sexy.
There is no such thing
to not be altered in the anime. The only problem with the manga is only a few chapters have been translated. And as far as I can tell, the anime is catching up with the English translations the day after I'm writing this very line. So do with all that what you will. The manga's art is absolutely worth checking out either way. And to touch on those dreaded themes, but for a moment, I love the show's attitude about how much more important hard work and discipline are than natural-born talent, and the importance of ignoring distractions like moments of minor fame and instead focusing on rest and recovery, and then even more hustling. Anyways, to bring it all back to the most important point of this video, look, I realize this is like the year of 1,000 waifus or something, but honestly, it's an embarrassment as a species just how badly y'all are sleeping on Eiko.
The American people are tired of women.
I mean, look at her. She's gorgeous, she plays guitar, she sings, she dances, and she can even make you a mixed drink. What more does a man need in life?
Bravo! I have a crush on Eiko.
The things I do for love.